Are the basic monsters just not cutting it? Do you feel like you have to get some new books? Well, I've got news for you. You don't. You just have to put more D&D into your D&D. Some dungeon masters might be afraid that flying characters are overpowered. They might complain that some subclasses are just way too strong. How about instead of banning things, we improve our D&D monsters with these 10 ideas? Let's dive right in with number 1, dealing damage back to melee attackers. Heated Body already exists. You could give this to fire elementals or even some devils perhaps. Armor of Agathis, a wonderful spell to give your enemies. And even if they aren't a spellcaster, you could still give it to them as like a glyph or a spell-like ability that they have. You could just simply reflavor it, saying that this creature is covered in spines or spikes. We are all well aware of the concept of thorn armor, something that when you hit it, it's gonna deal damage back to you. If you have to make it even worse, you could say that it damages all players in melee. As the fighter slashes the Remoraz, the burst of heat affects everybody in its melee range. It's a huge creature, so that's a big area of effect. Number 2 is Feats. There is literally nothing that says you can't give monsters feats. Do you have guards? Give them the Sentinel feat. That just makes sense. Anytime I have any guards anywhere, whether it's a dungeon or a castle or the city, I give them the Sentinel feat. It just makes sense. Literally any monster could be improved by having the mobile feat. Go ahead and give it to some of your monsters. Why not? Speaking of mobility, give more of it to your enemies. Players have so many ways that they can move around the battlefield very, very fast. Your enemies are going to need a leg up in this battlefield control. Give things greater movement speed, greater flying speed. Once we get to the higher tiers of play, they have legendary actions. Give them a legendary action of half their movement speed. Give your spellcasters a legendary action to Misty Step. There's no easier way to hamstring your spellcasters if they don't have ways of effectively getting out of danger. Instead of increasing our monsters' mobility, what if we steal our players' mobility? Not enough monsters have ways of making difficult terrain. What if there was a tornado air elemental that has a almost spirit guardians effect around him? So even when you get close to it, your movement is reduced and you take damage. I love this idea. You could give it to a high-level Banshee that has a permanent Spirit Guardians, maybe even a increased range Spirit Guardians effect happening around them at all times. That could really make them dangerous. Number 5, let's grab some D&D from some older editions with Minions. Minions are 1 hit point monsters that deal a lot of damage still. They are still a threat on the battlefield, but your players can feel heroic because it's very easy to take care of a lot of them at once. If you've got a group of minions and somebody casts an area of effect spell like Cone of Cold or Fireball, you can have all of the enemies go away, or you can say that every other enemy is eliminated. Same thing for awesome spells like Hypnotic Pattern or Sleep. Don't roll saving throws for all of the minions, just make a consistent judgment that makes the game feel awesome. Number 6, adding or increasing the damage, immunities, and resistances of certain creatures. You can really make shadows and specters way more dangerous by making them immune to all non-magical effects, and then give them resistance to literally everything. If they have resistance against all forms of magic, you can use them with great effect at much higher level play. There is literally no reason you can't give more resistances to your monsters and make them a bigger and better threat. Resistance and immunity to non-magical damage is a great way to kind of offset a party that is very heavily focused on ranged attacks. And speaking of immunities, thanks Matthew, Limited spell immunity. Not enough monsters have limited spell immunity. Are you telling me that high-ranking devils and demons can be affected by cantrips? Are you seriously gonna tell me that first and second level spells can affect an ancient dragon? No. Higher level, certain monsters just can't be affected by lower level spells. Number 8, more life-stealing effects. Any undead monster could have a bite attack that heals for as much damage as it deals. This can really raise the stakes because this thing just keeps stealing life and prolonging the fight, and so now the team has to work together to bring it down as fast as they can. Have fun with this one. Give it to some bugs. That's thematic. Ugh. Higher levels of play, you can really make this spicy by having an area of effect that deals damage to multiple characters, and then they heal that much. Wow, handle that with some caution. Number 9, more effects like Pounce. There are plenty of flying creatures or fast mobile creatures that could gain some sort of advantage or extra damage boost. Take this into consideration. You've got a flying creature, as they dive bomb the characters, they have advantage or get an automatic critical strike, or of course extra damage as they have momentum moving forward at the players. And of course that brings us to number 10. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, a lot of DMs want to ban flying races because not enough monsters have ranged options. No, flying's not a huge part of fantasy. Why would we want to let anybody have any fun? You understand what I'm saying. Just give your monsters more ranged abilities. There's no reason why beasts can't have a roar that acts like a breath weapon that instead deals thunder damage. Or maybe they have a spit attack. They could launch their quills or spikes at the players using a ranged attack or a saving throw. Find ways to give things laser vision without explicitly saying that it's laser vision. You could have ghosts and ghouls have a terrifying stare that deals psychic damage. Oof, barbarians are gonna love that. So I strongly encourage you to think, instead of banning or limiting players' options, potentially boost up the options that you have at your disposal. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, share it with everybody else. If you've got a DM who's wanting to ban your flying character, tell them they need more ranged options. For more videos like this, go ahead and click the subscribe button. And if you'd like to see other spicy ways of improving combat, why not mix D&D with some Gloomhaven?